Alright, so today I'm back with another Blue Lock leak video, and today we will go over chapter 303. Now, I'm not gonna lie, but this chapter was so insane. We got to see a heated discussion between Ego and Buratsuda, but we also got so much information about the upcoming U20 World Cup. But I don't want to say too much, so you will just have to sit back and watch to find out what happens. Anyway, before jumping into it, please leave a like and a comment, as well as join the Discord server. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. Also, if you want to check out the leaks for yourself, then I will put a link down in the comments where you can look at them. So we start this chapter off with seeing Hirotoshi Buratsuda, the guy who is also on the cover for the Blue Lock 34 volume. Anyway, so he's running like a madman, and he even slides into the office where Ego works, and how cringe it might be. He even does like a knee slide celebration, kind of like after scoring a goal, and I can just imagine him trying to do the same thing that Isagi did. After that, hopefully he gets up from the ground, and then you might wonder why he is in such a good mood, which is because Buratsuda is super excited due to the massive success of Blue Lock television. After that, Ego coldly walks into the room, and Buratsuda starts to right away tell him how displeased he is with Nagi's elimination. Probably because the views of Blue Lock television were probably insanely high during his 5-stage volley goal. Buratsuda continues and tries to order Ego to bring Nagi back. However, we don't get to know much more about that for now, as we instead go over to a press conference. There are cameras and stuff everywhere, and we then see Henri, who's speaking, and behind her to the left are Aiku and Rin. Aiku is obviously there as he was the previous captain of the Japan U20 squad, and to her right are Isagi and Shido, probably because Rin and Shido couldn't stand beside each other as they would just end up fighting mid-broadcast. Henri talks about the upcoming U20 World Cup, and how it will be hosted in Japan, and how 64 countries are participating as well as the new Generation 11, and there's so insanely much to go over in just that sentence alone. Firstly, how hype isn't it that the U20 World Cup is in Japan, as that will give the Blue Lock players a massive boost as they are playing in their home field. Not to mention that there will be 64 countries participating in the U20 World Cup, which is so cool because that leaves so many opportunities to meet new and awesome players. And of course, I have to talk about how we are finally seeing all of the new Gen 11 players. Like, the new Gen 11 has been hyped up for so long, and to finally get to see everyone will be huge. Now let's get back into the summary as we get to the next page, which is a double page where we see the whole world with text above it in the middle just saying U20 World Cup. Honestly, when this is animated it will go so nuts. We also see 11 flags scattered around it, and there we see Loki and Kaiser on that panel. Now I don't know if it indicates that they will be playing in the U20 World Cup, and if that's the case, then I'm so happy, as I have always said that Loki will be playing in the U20 World Cup. After that, we also see 11 body outlines with the words New Generation World 11 on it. Now this is where I'm a bit lost. To clarify, right now we only have the text summary, so we have no panels or pictures, which makes it a bit harder to really understand each panel because in the previous panel it said that Kaiser was there, but in the next one there's 11 body outlines with the words New Generation World 11 on it. Now I don't know if it's only me who's a bit dumb, but as we know Kaiser obviously is a part of the new generation, so he should also be there. But then it's a bit dumb to have him on the panel before and then just make an outline out of him. Hopefully you get my point. But if you don't, no need to worry, as I will continue with the summary now as we get back to Ego and Buratsuda, where we see Ego opposing him, and he probably goes really close to him and stares him right in his eyes as he coldly tells him that he is the god of this project, and that this only goal is to bring Japan to victory in the U20 World Cup. Buratsuda then tries to fire back by warning Ego by telling him that he is fired if he fails to do so. Now there's also a lot to unpack here, but let's finish the whole summary before that. Hey, it's Natsu mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well, as we get back to the conference, where Isagi starts to speak to the audience as the representative of Blue Lock, and he says that they're going to win the U20 World Cup in an awesome looking double spread panel, which is something that I absolutely can't wait for, because that's going to be insane to see. Anyway, the chapter then sadly ends with Nagi playing games at the arcade. We then get a close-up on his eyes, where we see that he has no pupils and that he looks super sad. The next chapter will be called The Patron of Dreams. Now, if I'm honest, I had no clue what a patron meant. However, when I searched, it said that it's a person who gives financial or other support to a person or organization, and there's more than one way to take that. Firstly, it could mean that Buratsuda is going to help funding the Blue Lock with something new insane, which they will use as a preparation for the U20 World Cup, some sort of insane match simulation or something crazy like that. Or it could also try and incorporate Rio to help Nagi in some way. Now I already know what some of you are thinking about that. And let me just say this. I thought that the chance about Nagi being gone was pretty decent in the last chapter. However, after last chapter, there's absolutely no point in them continuing to show him if he isn't going to come back. Like that last scene with Nagi in the arcade has no point if he isn't going to come back. Because if he were gone for good, then the last chapter would have been the absolutely best way of saying goodbye to him, as it had everything. But still, they are continuing to show him, which if you ask me, means that there's a good chance of him making his return. So all of the Nagi lovers, you can be calm, as I think that he will most likely come back. Also, I forgot to say this earlier, but there's no break next week, which is just lovely to hear, as it feels like we have been on a good streak with the chapters recently. Anyway, now let's try and delve a little bit deeper into this chapter and talk about it. Firstly, I want to talk about the last conversation about Ego and Buratsuda, where Buratsuda told Ego that if he failed to make the Blue Lock players win the U20 World Cup, he would be fired. Now, if I'm honest, I feel like that will happen. I feel like the Blue Lock 11 will do pretty decently in the U20 World Cup, but then, in the end, fail, and then Ego will get fired. However, as Ego is such an insanely big character in the story, I do feel like he will return for the real World Cup if they decide to continue the story for that long. Now, the same guy who I always get the leaks from, and who you can find in my top pinned comments, he put out a list of the countries where the new Gen 11s were from. Now, I don't know whether this is like 100% confirmed, but he's most of the time spot on, so I thought, why not go over it as well? So we have Germany, France, Spain, England, Italy, Egypt, Brazil, Japan, Morocco, the USA, and China. Now we do know that, obviously, Sei is from Japan, Kaiser is from Germany, and Lorenzo is from Italy. Now all of those countries are going to be awesome to get to see their new Gen 11s. However, the one I would like to focus on the most is France. Now a lot of people in the comments said that it was Loki, which would be a bit weird as he's never been labeled as a new Gen 11, as he has abilities that go way beyond those of the new Gen 11s, which would make me think that there's an unknown powerhouse we still haven't seen from France, as Charles hasn't been confirmed as a new Gen 11 player either, and that would just be strange. Now, as I said, there's not a 100% chance that these countries are real, but it's a big possibility that they are. Also, the last thing I want to touch on is Sei. Now, in the leaks, there are 11 body outlines with the words New Generation 11 written on them, and if all of the New Generation 11 were there, then Sei must have also been there, which would probably mean that he will participate in the U20 World Cup arc, which is something I also said all of the time, but for some reason, a lot of people have disagreed with it for some reason. Now again, this isn't, like, confirmed, but the arrows point to him participating, and like, why wouldn't he? He's one of the New Generation 11, and even if he stated before that he doesn't want to involve himself with the Japan team, it has obviously changed after firstly the U20 match, but also the Neo-Egoist League. Anyway, this is at least all of my takeaway from this chapter. Now, this chapter was actually insane, as we got so much information, and I can't wait until we can actually get the full chapter off it, so that we can see the things clearly. But while we wait for that, I really want to hear what you thought about this chapter, and whether you think that Nagi will come back, for example, or even if you think that Sei will participate in the U20 World Cup. Please let me know down in the comments. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you're curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.